I will be reading a little bit more of Black Beauty. So this chapter is called Birtwick Park. So in early May, I was sold to my owner's friend, Squire Gordon. Goodbye, be a good horse and always do your best, Farmer Gray told me. He gave me a last kind pat on my neck. Squire Gordon's large home was called Birtwick Park. We entered by a large iron gate. Then we trotted down a smooth road between clumps of big old trees. This brought us to the house and the gardens. Beyond this lay a small field with a fence around it. Inside the field was an old orchard with apple trees. The stables were near them. So this is them walking in through the iron gates. The stables had room for many horses and carriages. My stall was large and clean. I had a new groom to take care for me. He gave me some oats, patted me, and spoke kindly. Then he went away. A tall chestnut mare stared angrily from a stall across from me. I was in that stall, she said. You took it from me. I beg your pardon, I said. I had nothing to do with it. The groom put me here. Ginger has a bad habit of biting, said another voice, and when she was in the loose stall, she used to snap very much. Miss Flora and Miss Jessie, who are very fond of me, were afraid to come into the stable. They used to bring me apples and carrots, and I missed them very much. I looked into the stall next to me. A little fat gray pony with a thick mane and tail stood there. My name is Merrylegs, he said. I carry the young girls on my back. I miss the good things to eat, and I hope the young ladies will come again if you don't bite. I never bite anything but oats and corn and grass, I said. I bite because no one has been kind to me, Ginger the chestnut mare said. And here's him in the new stall and with the big horse. And these are the other two horses that were talking to him too in the other stalls. You may have been hurt before you came here, Merrylegs replied. But our John Manley is the best groom that ever was. James Howard is a kind, stable boy. You may learn to be good-tempered here. There is no better place for a horse to be. The next morning, Squire Gordon came to the stables. Take the new horse out this morning. Try him out. I will, sir, said John Manley. He fitted me with a bridle and was very careful to make it comfortable. Then he found a saddle that fitted nicely. He rode slowly at first. Then we went faster at a trot than a gallop. As we came back through Birtwick Park, we met Squire and Mistress Gordon walking. They stopped and John jumped off. Well, John, how does he go? First rate, sir, John answered. He is as fast as a deer and has a fine spirit. The lightest touch of the rein will guide him. That is very well, said Squire Gordon. Tomorrow I will ride him. The next day I tried to do what Squire Gordon wanted. And this is him riding the horse. I found that he was a very good rider. When we came home, Mistress Gordon waited at the door. He really is a good horse, Squire Gordon said. What shall we call him? He is beautiful. Shall we call him Black Beauty? And so Black Beauty became my name. John seemed very proud of me. He brushed me and talked to me a great deal. You really are a beauty, he would say. He seemed to know just how a horse feels. And when he cleaned me, he knew the tender places and the ticklish places. When he brushed my head, he went as carefully over my eyes as if they were his own. James, the stable boy, was just as gentle. I was in a good home. Ginger and I worked together to pull the big carriage. She behaved very well, and I liked her. She did her full share of work. Squire Gordon was pleased by the way we worked together. And this is him riding the carriage with the other horse. Okay, I'm going to read one more chapter because that one was kind of short. So chapter 3 is Merrylegs and Ginger. Merrylegs and I soon became great friends. He was such a cheerful, plucky little fellow. Everyone loved him. Miss Jessie and Miss Flora rode him about the orchard and field. They had fine games with him and their little dog Frisky. Mr. Bloomfield, the minister, had a large family of boys and girls who often played with Miss Jessie and Flora. They liked to take turns getting on Merrylegs to ride. One afternoon, Merrylegs had been out with them for a long time. When James brought him in, he said, "There, you bad boy, mind how you behave yourself. You shall get us into trouble." And this is a little picture of that. "What have you been doing, Merrylegs?" I asked. "Oh, nothing much," said he, tossing his head. "I have only been giving those young people a lesson. They didn't know when to stop and let me rest. I just pitched them off backwards." "What?" I said. "You threw the children off? I thought you knew better than that. Did you throw Miss Jessie or Miss Flora?" He looked very hurt. "Of course not. I would never do such a thing. Not for the best oats that ever came into the stable. It is I who teach the little ones to ride. At first I go as smooth as an old kitty when she is after a bird. When they have learned, I go on again faster, so don't you talk to me about that. I am the best friend these children will ever have." "Then what did you do?" I asked. "It was the boys," he said, shaking his mane. "The boys must be broken in and taught what is right. They are just as we were when we were colts. The other children had ridden me for nearly 2 hours. Then the boys thought it was their turn. I was quite willing. I galloped them about for a good hour. They had each cut a big stick for a riding whip. They laid it on a little too hard. At last it had gone on long enough, so I stopped 2 or 3 times by way of a hint. Boys, you see, think a pony is like a steam engine. They wanted me to go on as long as they pleased. They never think that a pony can get tired. The one who was whipping me could not understand. I just rose up on my hind legs and let him slip off behind. He mounted me again, and I did the same. Then the other boy got up on me. As soon as he began to use his whip, I laid him on the grass. I slipped them off until they could understand. That was all. Then they told James what I had done. I think he was very angry to see such big sticks." "I would have given those boys a good kick," Ginger said. "That would have given them a lesson." "Oh, no," said Merrylegs. "You know I would never do anything to make James unhappy. I love our family. I do." He gave a low ho-ho-ho through his nose, just as he always did in the morning when he heard James at the stable door. I often thought of Merrylegs' wise words, and I believe Ginger did too. And here's a picture of them the girls riding the pony, with the boys in the back climbing the tree. Here's a picture of the pony dropping the boys on the grass and their big sticks. We were as good for riding as we were for driving, and I liked to be saddled for a riding party. Riding all together always put us in high spirits. I had the best of it, for I always carried Mistress Gordon. She weighed a little, and her voice was sweet. Her hand was so light on the reins that I was guided almost without feeling it. I was proud to live at Birtwick Park. Squire and Mistress Gordon were good and kind. They were liked by everyone who knew them. Every creature had a friend in them. I was quite happy, but there was one thing I missed. It was the freedom to run or lie down when I wished. A spirited young horse wants to fling up his head and gallop. It was hard never to have freedom to do as I liked. John understood. "We'll get the ticklish fidgets out of your feet," he would say. Then he'd saddle me and ride me a few miles at a fast trot. After that, I was willing to go back into the stables for a while. Sometimes on Sundays, we were turned out into the field. We would run or lie down or nibble the sweet grass. We stood together under the shade of the apple tree. Sometimes we talked to each other. Here's a picture of them at the writing party. And here's a picture of them playing in the grass. One day, Ginger told me her story. No one was kind to me. I was taken from my mother when I was very young. The man who cared for us only gave us food and shelter. He never stroked us or spoke kindly. The way she had been broken in to wear a saddle and be harnessed to a carriage had been harsh. Then she was sold to other owners who gave no thought to her comfort. She became very unhappy and began to bite and kick. I was sold again and again and again until I came here, she said. Well, I said, I think it would be a real shame if you were to bite or kick John or James. I did bite James once. I thought he would flog me. John said, try her with kindness. James brought me a bran mash and stroked me. I haven't snapped at him since. I won't ever again. As the weeks went on, Ginger grew more gentle and cheerful. She stopped biting and never kicked. The squire noticed a change in her too. He came up to her and stroked her beautiful neck. Well, my pretty one, how do things go with you now? You are much happier than when you first came to us. And this is the squire stroking Ginger. Yes, sir, John said. She's much improved. She's not the same creature that she was. It's the Birtwick medicine, sir. This was a little joke of John's. He said that the Birtwick medicine was made up of patience and gentleness. He added firmness and petting. It was to be given to each horse every day. It was just a joke, but we horses enjoyed getting his medicine. And that's the end of chapter 3. So something you can do to make sure you remember these 2 chapters is to write everything you remember. So the chapters 2 started when Farmer Gray sold Black Beauty to Squire Gordon, and they took him to Birtwick Park. And that's where he met Ginger and all the other horses. And they would just talk. The squire took Black Beauty out for a ride to see how he was, and then they used him for a carriage ride. And then Merrylegs and Ginger told them stories about what they would do and how the pony was nice to the girls, but the boys, he would drop them off on the floor because they weren't very nice to him. And how Black Beauty didn't have a lot of freedom to do whatever he wanted, but they did give him time a little bit throughout the days to go and have fun and do what they wanted, like you see in this picture. And how Ginger finally told them why she's pretty mean. It's because when she grew up, nobody was really nice to her. And that's chapters 2 and 3. And write everything you remember as best you can. Thank you.